Hey guys, it's Alexandra from EyeLoveKnots.com and yarncraftsandcoffee.com. Today I'm going to show you how to make this really cute floral Afghan square. This is from my Delilah series, and the Delilah series features this floral motif. You can work it in a lot of different colors and you get different flowers. So like this, it looks a little bit like a daisy. If you do brown and then yellow, you get more of a sunflower. But really, you can go through your stash, pick out your favorite colors, and start making some flowers. This works up to be a 6-inch Afghan square. That's 6 inches if you match gauge with me. If your gauge is a little bit looser or a little bit tighter, then your square might be a little bit bigger or smaller as well. Gauge is not essential if you're going to be making a bunch of these and then sewing them together to make a blanket or rug or tote bag or any other project that you might have in mind. Then as long as all of your squares come out to the same size, it doesn't matter what the finished size is. Once we work up the first 2 rounds of the flower, I'll go ahead and go over gauge if you want to match your gauge to mine. You're going to need some worsted weight yarn for this project. That's a number 4 weight yarn. I'm using Lion brand Pound of Love. I have here the color Honeybee, White, Olive, and Denim. And I just absolutely love how all these shades work together. The really cool thing about Pound of Love is that it is a huge ball of 1,020 yards for about $14. So if you did want to make a blanket, 1 ball of each will get you pretty far. I'm also using an H8 5mm crochet hook. Because gauge is not essential, if you want to change this up to whatever hook you're more comfortable working with worsted weight yarn, like an I9 5.5mm, you can absolutely do that. It may change up the size of the squares a little bit. You can also follow this pattern with any yarn that you have in your stash and its respective crochet hook, and you will get different size squares as well. So that could be pretty fun, working with a jumbo weight yarn and then you turn it into a wall hanging, or a fingering weight yarn and maybe use it to create a cardigan. We're going to start by doing the flower motif. I'm going to pop in a clip showing it when I worked it for my coaster tutorial. You can start with whatever color you want the center to be. That's the first 2 rounds. Then you have 1 round of the petals. Then I'll come back with you and we'll work the leaf round together, and then we'll move on into turning that into a square, because after the leaf round it will be a rectangle. So we're going to be doing single crochets on 2 of the sides and half double crochets on 2 of the sides to help us turn that rectangle into a square. If you wanted to do a rectangle for your projects instead, you could do that, and then you don't have to worry about switching back and forth between your stitches. You can just make your rectangle as large as you'd like it to be. I'm working in the back loop only to get these cute little ridge details here. You could also do it under both loops if you wanted to do that. If you'd like to see a tutorial for any of the projects that I've mentioned, please make sure to drop me a comment below to let me know. I'd love to know what colors you're going to be using for your square and what you plan on doing with it. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start with a slip knot, so I've pulled the yarn over my fingers here, wrap it around my index finger 2 times, and hold the tension with my thumb and my middle finger. Pull the loop on the left up over the other one but not off my finger. Then I'll pull the one on the left now up over the other one and off my finger. Grab my crochet hook, insert it into the loop on my finger and pull it off. I'll hold the working yarn in my right hand, short tail into my left. I'm going to pull that so this knot will go to normal tension. We're going to start with a chain 5. To chain, we're going to yarn over and pull through the loop on our hook. Yarn over, pull through the loop on your hook. Yarn over, pull through the loop on your hook. Each time you do that, you get one of these V shapes here. We don't count the loop on our hook. We have 1, 2, 3 chains so far. So I'll work a couple more, so we have 5. We're going to slip stitch join to the very first chain, which is down on the bottom, so that we can form a ring to work into. So I'll turn this horizontally, insert my hook into that very first chain right in the center of it, then yarn over, pull through that stitch and the loop that's on my hook, and now I have a large ring here in the center to work into. Not the one at the top where we just slip stitched 2, but the one underneath that. I'm going to start with a chain 1, and we're going to work 12 half double crochets into that center ring. So to work a half double crochet, we're going to yarn over first. Then I'll insert my hook right into that center ring, and when I do that, I'm going to have the chains on my hook as well as the tail end. I'm going to hold that to the back of the chains and work over it for this first round. Now I'll yarn over and pull through 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. That completes our first half double crochet. Hold the tail end to the back of the chains, yarn over, insert my hook into the center ring, yarn over and pull through 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Yarn over, insert my hook into the center ring. I have the chains and the tail end on my hook. Yarn over and pull through 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Each time we work one of these stitches, we're going to have a V shape on the top as well, and we can use those to count 1, 2, 3 half double crochets. I'm going to continue working around until I have 12 half double crochets. Once you get near the end, it might look like you're running out of space, so I only have 10 half double crochets here. To get me some more space, I'm going to hold on to the fabric here in my left hand, and then grab the stitches here in my right and just pull them down, and they'll slide down the chain, leaving space for however many stitches left that you need. Now that I have 12 half double crochets complete, I'm going to slip stitch join to the very first half double crochet of the round. If you're not sure which one the first one is, you can count backwards from where you just finished, and once you get back down to 1, then you'll know where that stitch is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, using those V shapes at the top. Insert your hook underneath both loops of that first stitch, then yarn over, pull through that stitch and through the loop that's on your hook. That's a slip stitch, and now round 1 is complete. We're going to ignore this ring for a second and work round 2. We'll start with a chain 1, and now we're going to increase. So we've just finished with 12 half double crochets. We're going to double that in round 2 to have 24 half double crochets. And I'm going to split my beginning increase here to work it differently than you're used to. But this is just going to help my seam stay straighter. It's the way that I prefer to work, so if you have a different way to do your increases, you can do it whatever way is best for you. But I'm going to start by working 1 half double crochet into this very first stitch that my chain is connected to. And now I'll continue to half double crochet 2 stitches into each stitch all the way around. So the first one is worked into the very next stitch here, and then yarn over, insert your hook back into the same exact stitch, and complete your half double crochet. And now you have 2 stitches there worked into 1 stitch. Work a half double crochet into the next stitch, then yarn over, insert your hook back into the same exact stitch, and complete that half double crochet. And now there's 2 half double crochets in that next stitch as well. So we'll continue working all the way around, working 2 half double crochets into each stitch, and when you get all the way back around, you'll complete your last set of increases over here. You'll have 23 half double crochets, and then we'll work the last one together. I've just completed my last set of increases. I now have 23 half double crochets. I'm going to work my last one here into this very next stitch, which is the same stitch that my chain is connected to. This stitch will come out to the right of that beginning chain, whereas the first one came out to the left. And now I'm going to go to that first half double crochet, insert underneath both loops at the top, and complete a slip stitch. Yarn over, pull through that stitch and the loop that's on my hook. Round 2 is now complete. I'm going to pull up a loop here really quick, just so I don't lose it. I'm going to come down to the center ring, hold the fabric in the back in between my fingers with the tail end in the center, and hold on the front as well, and then I can pull on that tail end and this hole will close up. And then I'll secure that in place once I weave in my ends at the end. Then I'm going to put this down. I'm going to grab my new color, which is going to be white. I'm going to form a loop here near the end, leaving a tail end long enough that I can comfortably weave in. It's actually a little bit too much. And then I'm going to put this loop on my hook. So I'm going to hold the tension of the loop that's currently on there with my index finger. Put the loop on my hook. Hold the tension of the strands on the back. That way this loop on my hook doesn't really go anywhere. And I'm going to pull this new color through. Then I'm going to grab that original strand and I'm going to give it a tug so this yellow loop that you see there will disappear. Then I'm going to drop that to the back, drop the tail end of the new color to the back, and then I'm going to grab my working yarn, pull it down to normal tension, and start with a chain 1. If that yellow loop pops back up, you just go to the back, find the tail end, and give it a tug, and it will disappear again. This is my favorite way to change colors for this project to get the most seamless color change right here. You can change in the last yarn over of the final slip stitch here at the end of round 2, but it completely disrupts the color change right here, and the stitches from this round are going to pull on the yellow stitches and it really just distorts it in a way that it's not very pretty. So if you don't want to change using this method that I just showed you to get the same look, you can slip stitch join at the end of round 2 with the yellow, then fasten off and then reattach your new color into the first stitch. But to save me a little trouble so I don't have to go that extra step, I just go ahead and change in this manner instead. Now I'm ready to do round 3, but before I do that I'm going to go ahead and fasten off the yellow. So just leave a tail end long enough to weave in. And now I'm ready to go for round 3. We're going to work a single crochet into this very first stitch. Insert your hook into that stitch underneath both loops. Yarn over, pull through. You have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through both loops. Then we're going to skip the next stitch, and in that next stitch we're going to work 3 double crochets. So I've yarned over, insert my hook into that stitch, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. That's 1 double crochet. I'm going to continue working, so I have 3 double crochets, and I'm going to insert my hook all into the same stitch. So now I have 3 double crochets complete. 1, 2, 3. Going to chain 2, and I'm going to work 3 more double crochets back into that same stitch. So there's going to be 6 in total, all worked into the same stitch. This is going to create one of our petals. Then I'm going to skip the next stitch, and in the next stitch I'm going to work a single crochet, insert my hook into that stitch, yarn over, pull through, 2 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through both loops. And then I'm going to pull up a loop really quick. Those 6 stitches in that chain are going to form our petal there, and the single crochets on both sides are going to create that curve and anchor it in place. It's going to help us with the shaping. So our repeat throughout the whole thing actually starts with the single crochet we just finished. It's going to be single crochet into that next stitch, skip the next stitch, and then in the next stitch we're going to make another petal. So we're skipping this next stitch here, and in this next stitch we're going to do 3 double crochets, all worked into that same stitch, then chain 2, then 3 more double crochets worked back into that same stitch. And then skip the next stitch. Then our repeat begins. In the next stitch, single crochet, insert your hook into that stitch, yarn over, pull through, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through both loops. That's now just anchored our petal. Then skip the next stitch, and in that next stitch, 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets back into that same stitch. Then we skip the next stitch. Then the repeat again, single crochet in the next stitch, skip the next stitch, 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets into the next stitch, skip the next stitch. You're going to continue that all the way around till you're back to the beginning. Right now we have 3 petals. We're going to have 6 petals at the end of this round, and then we'll join together. Now I've made it all the way back around. I have my last petal done. Skip that last stitch, and now we're going to slip stitch join to the very first stitch of the round, insert right into that single crochet, and then slip stitch. And now the flower part is done, and we're going to go ahead and add some leaves. So I'm going to set this down for a moment, grab my green color, form a loop here near the end, leaving a tail end I can comfortably weave in, put that loop onto my hook, pull it through the loop, then go back to the white and pull down on that strand so this loop will disappear. Drop the tail ends to the back, and I'm ready to go in the green. To get this loop to normal tension, I just give this strand a tug before I get started. Now I'm going to go ahead and start here with a chain 5, and this chain 5 is going to count as a treble crochet and as a chain 2. If the white loop pops up while I'm working, I'll just go to the back, give it a tug, hold onto the fabric, and that loop will disappear. And we'll secure this down when we weave in our ends, but for now I'm not going to worry about it. In the chain space of the next petal, I'll insert my hook into there, picking up the loops on my hook, and then complete a single crochet. Then I'll chain 2, and I'm going to work my first complete corner in this next single crochet. I've started one corner here, but as you can see it only has 1 stitch so far. In that next single crochet I'm going to do 2 treble crochets, chain 3, 2 treble crochets. So yarn over 2 times so you have 3 loops on your hook, insert into that stitch, yarn over and pull through. Now there are 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So this is essentially a double crochet with an extra yarn over in the beginning and an extra yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Yarn over 2 times, so there are 3 loops. Insert back into the same exact stitch, yarn over and pull through. There are now 4 loops on the hook. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Chain 3. And then we'll work 2 more treble crochets in there, yarn over 2 times, into the same stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And as I work my treble crochets, I like to move my fingers up so that I can hold on to the stitch. I've just completed this first half, so I move my thumb up over top of it, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, move my finger again, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. This helps me get a really nice straight and even stitch as opposed to this one that's right before it that looks a little bit loose and messy. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this out and rework that other one too. Alright, I'm going to flip to the back really quick and fasten off this white from my petals. And now that corner is complete, I'll go ahead and chain 2. In the chain space of the next petal, I'm going to insert right into the center, picking up the chains on my hook, and complete a single crochet. Chain 2, we'll work another corner here, 2 treble crochets into that single crochet, then chain 3, and then 2 more treble crochets back into that same exact stitch. Chain 2, in the chain space of the next petal, single crochet. And there's the first side almost complete, and the 2 corners. In that very next single crochet, I'm going to work a half double crochet, then I will chain 2, and in the chain space of the next petal, single crochet. This is going to be forming the side. Now we've reached the next corner. Start with a chain 2 first, then work 2 treble crochets into that next single crochet. Chain 3, 2 treble crochets back into the same exact stitch, chain 2, single crochet into the next chain space of that next petal, chain 2, then the next corner here into that next single crochet, 2 treble crochets into that stitch, chain 3, 2 treble crochets back into that same exact stitch. Chain 2, single crochet into the next chain space of the next petal. And we're almost there. This is going to be the next side, the 2 corners from that side over there, so we have just 1 corner left to complete. Chain 2, in the next single crochet work a half double crochet, and we change the height here and on the other side so that it brings us a taller stitch so it's in line with the rest of them. Chain 2, single crochet into the next chain space of the next petal, chain 2, and now we're back to the beginning and we're going to complete our first corner. 2 treble crochets into that same stitch where the beginning chain is coming out of. I'm going to push through right underneath it to work into that single crochet. Then chain 3. And then just 1 more treble crochet into that same exact stitch, since the beginning chain counts as a stitch itself. Now I'm going to go back to the beginning chain. I'm going to count from the bottom. 1, 2, 3 chains. There'll be 2 left on top of that. Insert right into the center and then complete a slip stitch. Pull up a loop so I don't lose that. But now the leaves are complete. And the next round will build on top of these stitches and chains. It'll also help to get the shaping a little bit better. But you could also block it and it will fix the shaping as well. Now I'm ready for my new color. I'm going to be switching here to do the border. I'm going to do this blue. I have gone to the end of the strand, forming a loop, leaving a tail end long enough I can comfortably weave in. I'll put that loop onto my hook, pull it through the loop, Then give that original strand a tug and hold on to the fabric so the loop will disappear. Drop the tail ends, grab the new color, and then pull on this strand so that this loop will go to normal tension. Now to even this out into a square, because as you can see it's currently a rectangle, I'm going to be using 2 different stitches. On the short end, on the top and bottom, I'm going to be doing single crochets. On the sides where I need to add more width, I'm going to be doing half double crochets. The corners come in a little bit, so I'm going to be using taller stitches here to account for the adjustments that I need to make. If you don't want to turn it into a square and you want to continue as a rectangle, you can work either single crochet or half double crochet evenly all the way around. Completely up to you, but I want to turn this rectangle into a square. So I'm going to start with a chain 1, and I'm going to single crochet into the very first stitch, which is the same one that I slip stitched to. Let me give that blue strand a tug to even that out. And then I have a chain 2 here. I'm going to just insert my hook right into the center of the chain space, picking up the chains on my hook, and complete a single crochet. And I'll do that again. This way there's 1 single crochet for each chain, then single crochet into the very next single crochet, chain 2 space again, insert right into the center of the chain space, and complete a single crochet 2 times, so there's 2 single crochets. Now you could also work into the chains themselves, working right into the center of them. And if you do that, it gives you this really cute ridge detail right here. Completely up to you how you want to do it. I'm just going to go ahead and work right into the chain space itself. Single crochet into each of the next 2 treble crochets, and then we've reached the corner. Now in the corner, I said we're going to modify our stitches so that we can pop this corner out a little bit more. I'm going to do 2 stitches that will be part of the single crochet side. So into the chain space, I'm going to do 2 half double crochets. And that is going to be the stitch that's a little bit taller than a single crochet. Chain 2. Now that we've reached the second part of the corner, which is going to go alongside the half double crochet side, we're going to go up 1 stitch, so 1 stitch taller than a half double crochet is a double crochet. So we'll do 2 double crochets into the same corner chain space. Now we're going to proceed to half double crochet into each stitch and into the chain spaces all the way across to the next corner. Half double crochet into each of the next 2 treble crochets. Then work 2 half double crochets into the chain space. Again, if you want to work into the chain itself, you can do that too. Half double crochet into the next single crochet, 2 half double crochets into the next chain space, half double crochet into the next half double crochet, 2 half double crochets into the next chain space, half double crochet into the next single crochet, 2 half double crochets into the next chain space, half double crochet into each of the next 2 treble crochets. Then we've reached the next corner. We're going to do the same exact thing that we did over here. We're just going to reverse it now because we're on the side of the half double crochet. 1 stitch taller than a half double crochet is a double crochet. So we're going to do 2 double crochets into this chain space. Chain 2. And then we're going to now be working on the side where the single crochets are. So to complete this corner, 1 stitch taller than a single crochet is a half double crochet. We're going to work 2 half double crochets into the same corner chain space. Now we're ready to single crochet into each of the next 2 treble crochets, 2 single crochets into the next chain space, single crochet into the next single crochet. And we're going to go ahead and continue working single crochets into the next chain space and each of the next 2 treble crochets. Now we've reached the next corner. We're going to do 2 half double crochets in here, chain 2, 2 double crochets into the same exact chain space. Then we're going to half double crochet into each of the next 2 treble crochets, 2 half double crochets into the next chain space, half double crochet into the next single crochet, and we'll continue to half double crochet all the way up, ending with these 2 treble crochets at the next corner. For this last corner chain space, 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 half double crochets. Then I'll single crochet into the very next stitch, and I'm back to the beginning and I'm ready to slip stitch join. Now I want to work the rest of the rounds in the back loop only, so I'm going to join here in the back loop. But if you'd like to work your border in just regular stitches, you can do that too. And in that case, you would insert underneath both loops and complete your slip stitch. I'm going to bring my hook down the top center of the V, pushing towards the back to get just that back loop only on my hook. And then I'm going to complete my slip stitch. Now I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to work my rounds the same way as round 1, where I've done single crochets at the top and half double crochets on the sides, so that I can build the height a little bit but build the width more. That way this turns into a square, because right now it's still a rectangle. I'm going to add 2 more rounds. You can add as many rounds as you want. If you don't want that many rounds, you can stop now. You can add 1 more and stop. You can continue to add rounds after the 3rd one, but the 3rd one is going to give us a square shape. So I'm going to add 2 more rounds. As I mentioned, I'm going to do them in the back loop only. You can do them in both loops. That's completely up to you. I'm going to change the corners now. We did work 4 stitches and then a chain space. Moving forward, we're going to have just 2 stitches and a chain space. I'm going to stick with a chain 2. That's going to give me a little bit more of a rounded corner. If you prefer a more square corner, then you can do a chain 3. We're going to be working the same way as I did my join. So normally you would pick up both loops of the stitch. When working into the back loop only, I'm going to bring my hook down the top center of the V, pushing towards the back to grab just the back loop only on my hook. And then I'm going to complete my stitch. So I'm going to start by working a single crochet into this very first stitch that I slip stitched to. Then continue to single crochet all the way across. And now I've reached the corner chain space. I'm going to do a half double crochet first, chain 2, and then a double crochet into the same exact chain space. And now I'm ready to go ahead with the half double crochet side here. Now I've reached the next corner chain space. I'm going to do a double crochet first, chain 2, half double crochet into the same exact chain space, and now we're going to single crochet into the back loop only of all the stitches on this side. Once we reach the next corner, you'll do half double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, then half double crochet into the back loop only of all the stitches on the next side until you get to the next corner. The final corner there is going to be a double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet, and I'll be back with you so we can finish up together. Now we have 1, 2, 3 more stitches left. Single crochet into the back loop only of each of those 3 stitches. And then we're back to the beginning, and I can slip stitch join to the first stitch, and I'll do it the same way in the back loop only. And there is round 2 complete. You can see that it looks a little bit more square now, but it is still a rectangle for another round. For round 3, I'll start with a chain 1, single crochet into that very first stitch that I joined 2, and single crochet into the back loop only of each stitch all the way across there to the chain space. In this next chain space, I'll do the same thing as before, half double crochet first, chain 2, double crochet into the same chain space, and then I'll proceed to half double crochet into the next stitch, working through the back loop only, and then half double crochet through the back loop only into each stitch all the way across here on this next side. Once I reach that next chain space, it will be double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet, then single crochet into the back loop only across that next side. Next corner there will be half double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, half double crochet into each stitch all the way across that last side. Then we'll reach the last corner. Now we've reached the last corner here. We're going to go ahead and do a double crochet first, chain 2, half double crochet into the same chain space. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches that we're going to work a single crochet into the back loop only. Then slip stitch join to the very first stitch of the round, and since this is my last one, I'm going to go ahead and do it underneath both loops for a little bit more security and finish here. I've already fastened off, but you'll go ahead and fasten off, leaving a long enough tail that you can comfortably weave in. Pull up on this loop to break it. Insert my hook from the back to the front into the same stitch I slip stitched to, yarn over it, and pull that tail end to the back. And that's it. You could also finish that off with an invisible join if you wanted that to be a little less noticeable, but I'm perfectly happy with mine. And if I was going to join it in a project, I would flip it around so that it's at the bottom. That's where I think it's the least amount noticeable. And then I'm just finger pressing here to give me a little bit better of a shape. But now if you measured your square, it should measure 6 inches tall by 6 inches wide. And that can vary a little bit if your gauge is a little bit different than mine. But if you're working up a project like a blanket, as long as all your squares are the same size, then it doesn't matter if it's a little bit smaller or a little bit bigger. If I was going to continue to add rounds at this point, I would pick one stitch, either the single crochet or the half double crochet, and continue to work the whole round in that one stitch. Working in the corner chain spaces, say I picked a half double crochet, then I would do a half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet. This way, it's already a square, your square will just continue to get larger. If you continue to work with single crochets and half double crochets, then you would end up back again at a rectangle. Now we're going to grab our tapestry needle and weave in those ends. Let's start with the one in the center of the flower. I'm going to work underneath my stitches clockwise until I get back to the beginning. I like to do it in small sections. This here puts me back to the beginning. I'm actually going to run underneath a couple more stitches. And when I come out, I'm going to break my stitch in half. I'm not going to pick up the whole entire stitch on my needle, just to help capture my yarn a little bit better. Now I'm going to hold on to the fabric in between my fingers here, and I'm going to give this strand a tug. You're going to see that it's going to close up that hole. And now we're going to secure it in place. So I'm going to rotate my work so I can work back in the same direction I just came. And as I work, I'm going to continue to break my stitches in half when I enter and exit. So instead of picking up the whole entire stitch on my needle, I'm going to bring my needle through the center of it just to make it catch a little bit better. I'm inserting into a nearby stitch here, breaking that in half, running up through several stitches vertically, breaking that last stitch in half when I exit, hold on to the fabric in between my fingers and pull that through, give it a tug. Then I can use my fingers to manipulate the fabric here if it has bunched up at all. We want it to lay naturally. I like to do 3 passes, that's my magic number. Inserting into a nearby stitch here, breaking it in half, running back up through several of those same stitches, breaking the last stitch in half when I exit. If you're comfortable after 2 passes, you can fasten off then. If you feel like you need to work a 4th one, you can do that too. Give it a tug, come back and manipulate my fabric as needed. Now I can go ahead and fasten off. The yellow one's going to be a nice easy one that I'm going to bring through that stitch there and secure it that way. I'm going to show you the white one because it's a little bit different, or whatever color you're using for your petals. You have one strand here at the top that's coming sort of downward, so I'll weave that one in over in that same direction. Then I have the one I just threaded that is coming out of the bottom of the single crochet and is coming out on the right side, so I'm going to pull that one up into the cluster to the right. I'm going to weave it a little bit to get it into a position where I can go into the bottom of the cluster. So I'm just going to come underneath this little part of this next stitch here. From the left into the center of that stitch. You can see I can't see it from the other side. All the way across until it brings me to the bottom of that cluster. I like to hold it with my fingers so that it doesn't bunch up my fabric too much. But even still, I always come back to manipulate my fabric. And now I'll go ahead and weave in here into the cluster, 3 passes, breaking my stitches when I enter and exit. For the other side, I'm going to come down through that stitch right underneath. Then I'm going to work over to the left underneath the legs of the single crochet. Then I'll come up to the left where there's a little stitch up there. And now I'm going to push through here to the left. There's the back bump of one of the stitches. And then I'm going to go downward to get into the bottom of that cluster. And that's going to be pass number 1, so I'll just finish this up with 2 more passes. The green ones are going to be pretty easy. I'm going to go with the direction that they're coming. The one on the top, I'm going to come downward, and the one on the bottom, I'm going to go upward. I will try to keep it separate so there's not too much overlapping in bulkiness, but that's what I'll do there. The blue where I tied on, I'm going to go up to the right and then work vertically there. And at the top, I'm going to come downward and work vertically there. But I'm going to follow the same process with 3 passes, breaking my stitches when I enter and exit, and trying not to build on the bulkiness of the other ends. And now our little square is ready to go. You can make a bunch of these and sew them together for all kinds of things like sweaters, cardigans, tote bags, blankets, scarves. If you make it in a cotton yarn, you can use it as a washcloth. You can use it as a mug rug or a large coaster. So many fun things that you can do with this. Drop me a comment below and let me know what you'll be doing with yours. If you'd like to see a tutorial for any of the projects that I mentioned or one that you might have in mind, make sure to drop me a comment below letting me know that too. I'd also love to know what colors you're going to be using for yours. Make sure to check out my blogs where you're going to find free crochet patterns, and blog subscribers get access to the PDFs for free via the free file library. I'll pop all the details for that down below. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to smash that like button to let YouTube know that you enjoyed it. It really does help my channel. And I'll catch you guys next time.